starting with a low, we have a 6.4.
Ooh.
Ooh.
And we have a 7.8. And then
And,
we have a 10.
and a 10.
A 10.
And another 10.
Welcome.
Eh, welcome, welcome.
Welcome to War of the Proses.
Yes.
Star.
Where we talk about wars and the proses.
I'm Melissa Rose, and this is Lee Knight Jr., who is invisible today.
Yes, and your microphone looks like it's made of Nerf material.
Yes. How do you know it's not?
Yes.
But as you can see, Lee's stuck in the Black Lodge today, but I am rocking my Black Lodge
The black dog
shirt
runs at night.
ensemble. So,
The black dog runs at night. Sorry.
wow.
Half of the people are going to get that.
Wow.
Garmin Bosey.
Well,
Everybody's like, what the fuck are they talking about? Like, dude,
the,
if you don't
the
know
real
Twin
ones know.
Peaks.
Good ones know.
Yeah, now we're back from uh, a performance that happened in Southern California, and we downplayed it and showed up like superstars in practice, which is good. But we didn't mention that the last time we performed together on stage was in 2014. Was it 2013? Oakland Nationals was 2014, right?
Yes.
2014 Oakland Nationals. And actually, though, when I think about it, yeah, that was actually a great fucking day. So I had to say something about it because honestly, and I can say this because it's recording. So look, you need to get out of the way, Doug. Um, we we were going against Hawaii, and I really feel bad for the other teams that we're going against because honestly, we were only worried about Hawaii. Because we knew Hawaii for a while, and they were gonna and there was a hurricane in Hawaii during that time. So these motherfuckers, they were praying out before the thing. They were gonna just kill anybody. They're just like, no matter what, they did hakas without doing the haka. Like we were done. And we figured, okay, they're gonna get political. You can't out political Hawaii unless you go to another country. Like you can't out socialize and say, "Oh, this is because it's racist." No, no, no. I live in Hawaii. They took my fucking country. Shut the fuck up. In fact, Travis has a good line in one of his poems where he goes, "When we became, when we became a state, I became a minority in my own country." Like, how are you going to beat that? Like, and say like, "Oh, somebody was rude to me." So we decided, all right, we're going to open up funny poem, right? And semi-funny. It was, you know, so not like to say the name of the poem or the person because out of respect, but it didn't do well. It really didn't. And this person went up third. And I'm like, you can even it's not even a little bit. So we were kind of fucked. And I'm in one part of the venue. Melissa's at the other part of the venue. We're all on different strategic parts. And me and Melissa know usually the way that the venue was, we made it so we could see the judges. So like I was near the front, Melissa was on the side. I'd say, not giving his name, the red-headed leprechaun was in the back, right? And I remember texting going, okay, change the sound, change the sound, change change the plan. And me and Melissa did what, there was a Berkeley push, and then we had the Palo Alto something. We changed it. So basically, I did a team piece with Melissa. Melissa did a team piece with me, right? In her round, I did one in my round. And then the third round, they did their group piece where it's Melissa and the rest of the people on the team. So basically, we went from fourth place to high second. Like we were really close to Hawaii. No one was catching us, right? It was like us in Hawaii. And like in that was the last time that I performed with Melissa.
Yeah.
And yeah, two rounds, and we fucking saved our team. And it's because of those three rounds that we got into group piece finals. So it was one of those, if it was the end of a movie, like that's the end of the movie. You know what I mean? Like you don't show the fact that like we should have done better in group piece finals, but it's okay. It's okay. I as a coach, I could recognize I had a purpose. I wanted your poem to go up, and that was it. Why? Because they were fucking with me. So back to what I was saying, we hadn't performed in a long time.
Yeah.
And yes, but we know each other. So,
Gonna say,
so
didn't feel like
yeah, yeah. It's not like I haven't talked to you in like 20 years or something. Like,
it.
so
I was telling
um,
we were practicing. I was like, oh, it's all in there, I mean, we've been
yeah.
performing
Because
these poems for a long time. They're still in our brains.
yeah, it's so weird though. Like if you think about it, it's like because it came back quickly, but it was like still like 10 years of like you were just a mom, you know, and like I was just a person. You know what I mean? Like it was different. It wasn't I wasn't Lee Knight Jr., you were Melissa, you know what I mean? It was different. So it's good to know that we still have superpowers. And we were this meeting's being recorded. I said, okay, damn. But we say that to say what got us is we were under the impression that because the dean of my sister's college, um, but for him, he's like nobody from his time doing poetry was still active that wasn't going to charge like I mean he could get Rudy but that's going to charge him like 3 grand you know what I mean so like now he wanted somebody different he said like oh do you know Lee Knight Jr. You can get him my little brother yeah so anyway it was interesting so I expected when I went to college a full class of students was like at least 50 students
Hmm.
right? So I expected at least like there's gonna be like 150 people there, just 3 classes. And it's like my sister's like, oh, I have 12. Like I've got 8 students. I'm like, what the fuck? Right? So we show up and it's like for us, it's like Berkeley on an average night.
Hmm.
Like let's say maybe 50,
Yeah.
maybe 60. Yeah, like not not low, but not like what we were expecting. And they were students. So they had an interest, but no, there was there wasn't any energy, man, dude. There was no reaction.
I thought, like,
They reacted to your pain, like
I said it that day, like they reminded me of like a German audience because German audiences are typically pretty quiet.
yeah,
At least when Lee and I were
yeah,
performing
yeah.
there.
You're right. They don't.
Because we
Yeah,
didn't do comedy. They would laugh like at the Germans because they were doing comedy, but like when we would do our stuff, they would be like very like
oh,
quiet.
in fact, a poet that we know, and I'll say, you're like this, Lauren Lenny Sock.
Yes.
See what I did there? See what I did? Say the person's name. It's Lauren Lady Sock. I thought that was very clever, by the way. I'm just Neutralink's not that clever. No, I'm blowing myself over here. This is really good because remember she said when she toured Germany, because she does comedy and that no reaction just kind of like sometimes it really just it gets them like and but we have lines in our poems that I know usually just grab you get people you can see the reaction, but instead it was like no, but we wanted to talk about how we handle situations like that and still do well because just because the audience isn't reacting doesn't mean they're not interested. It's just some people just they don't roll that way.
Yeah, and there's different kinds of venues, right? So it's like an academic venue would be different than like a bar on a Friday.
Exactly,
Right?
exactly.
It's going to be different kinds of energy just in the audience, kind of, and that's sort of like that sort of know your audience saying, right? It was like know your audience, right?
Exactly. But they remember they spoke up like, "Oh, you're in the fancy room. You're in the fancy room." I'm thinking like, "Oh, it's going to be an auditorium." I'm thinking it's like, "No, it's just a bigger room."
It's just a big room.
What? That has glass. I'm like,
It was
"Oh,
full,
that's
like all
nice."
the chairs were full.
Yeah, and like it was nice. It was just but at the same time, for example, Melissa being a professional, she utilized the space and the lack of emotional energy from the audience to actually do something that we stopped doing before, but it's still good if you can do it right. And she did what is known as crowd surfing or crowd walking.
Oh, I didn't crowd surf. I didn't like jump. I was like, catch me.
No, but I like the way you had on the chrome nail polish. I was thinking the Silver Surfer, so I like crowd surfing better than crowd walking. But crowd walking sounds like you're walking. Jesus walks, you're walking on the people, but she crowd walked, which means going down the aisle and making the audience members turn around and actually look at you. Like it's more engaging. Good idea. Like it's I'm old, so I can't walk anymore, but that actually worked well and got them more involved.
Well, and I'm not a crowd walker really, but there was like a beautiful aisle just waiting to be walked down. Why not?
You did it before, and I'm thinking I know it was at Waves.
Probably.
Yes. Back we had, we had pretend balls.
Yeah.
Pretend balls when you act like, I'm really confident and you're really not. You're like, oh yes, get away from me, boy. Right.
All that moxie just to make up.
Yes. It I guess maybe we were more prepared because of Germany, because um yeah, not you're right. It'd be a packed fucking audience and like not a peep, you know?
Yeah.
But
Well,
but they would buy their all of our chapbooks. So it's like you liked it, but they talk to you about your poetry, but they're not going to react and say, probably because they don't want to miss anything.
yeah. Well, we're used to like a slam crowd, right? And a slam crowd is typically pretty vocal, where like if they like a line, they'll be like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They'll like feel
They'll
it.
be
They'll be
like, or
oh
they'll be like, yeah, get it, right? Like somebody will, you know, give a vocal response to something that you say, and you're like, oh yeah, they're feeling my stuff, and then that like pumps you up, right? And so you get used to that, and then you get used to being like, oh, they're not feeling it, like if they're quiet, right? Which is
yeah.
not always the case.
It was just weird because like if we were a team, if there were like four of us, the other teammates would cheer for us being on. But when it's just the two of us, we don't do that because A, like I'm recording, but B, it's I don't know, we're just not like that. You know what I mean? Like but if it's a team, always, you always got to cheer for your teammates. You always got to, then it pumps up the crowd. But us, I think we're a little bit on the arrogant side going, I don't need that.
I don't need that shit.
Dude, it's like, what do they call, they have them in North Korea. They used to have them back in the day, but they still have them in North Korea where, um, they're paid to, oh yeah, it is mentioned that, they're paid to cry. Like they actually still have that in North Korea where it's kind of like, oh, you weren't very popular. Yes, we can pay these people to cry. Oh. He was such a nice man. Oh, he made bread. Yeah.
My friend. Um, yeah, so I mean, just to kind of so Lee and I have performed on in many venues, both on like a larger scale, like a
Yes.
theater with like hundreds of seats, to I mean, you could even say like even the Palo Alto Slam was in an art gallery, and it was
Yeah.
pretty
It was
sparse.
like every time we had a Palo Alto Slim, honestly, at the most, if we packed the house, that was maybe 40 people. It's a packed house. And we were just happy to have more than 10. My thing is just give me more than 15. Give me more than 15.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I mean, then it was not about making money. I just hope like at finals we would break even. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, so we were used to smaller crowds and that more intimate kind of, but I think that also affected how we wrote because it was more about the writing and less about the performance.
Yeah.
It was different. You're right. I think we kind of prepared because one of I'm trying to think, and you didn't want to go through this, but I did. I was thinking of like there are times when there was an audience in our first bout at 2006 in Austin, and we were at that gallery. And remember, it sucked, and there was nobody there.
Nobody there. Some people
Um,
got pissed off because
yeah, because like nobody from the Bay came to our bout, and like, and it's and there is, I think, also the other thing at nationals is if your bout was at a sucky place, not that many people are going to show up, and it was an important bout because Yeah, Fort Worth was in that again. We just couldn't get rid of those motherfuckers. That's why when 2014, when we beat them, it's I can say the city names, the venue and the audience, because we've had smaller venues where the I think the our first bout in Albuquerque, the really, really good one, I don't think that was a huge venue. Remember, we had actually had both of our bouts in the same place.
At the same place. I don't remember it being huge, but I mean, it was a good performance venue.
Yeah, yeah, because
You know how we do, like we go and we scope out the place beforehand,
yes.
where we're like, we
Dude,
gotta go to where the venue is, so
yes, check it out, dude.
plan.
Remember that part where in the poem where Mark jumped off the stage and Eric is above him and he's doing a poem above his head? That was just dope, man.
Like, and that's an example too about like, oh, how you can utilize the space, right? Because we had a poem where like everybody was like, there was like this side area with a curtain, so it was like a backstage sort of look to it.
Yeah.
Some of us go back there while they
No,
were,
that was cool. That was actually, yes.
and the stage for that venue was shorter, right? I
Yes.
Whereas the one that in the bout that we were in semifinals, that was a tall stage. Like I remember that
Yeah.
was a really tall stage, and
Yes.
so it's like if you're gonna jump off the stage, right? You might be more inclined to do that, at that first venue where the stage is shorter, as opposed to
Yeah.
you jump off and you trip and you fall and die. You know,
Dude.
like nobody's jumping off that stage. It was huge. Like that's like my main memory from semifinals is like, man, the stage is fucking high. Like, why is it so high? Like, I don't understand why it's so tall. You have to like walk up a flight of stairs to get to it.
It was such a good memory, though, honestly, because the poem came out perfectly, and we were backstage behind the curtain, and like, man, ah, God bless,
Well,
dude. And me and Aaron Escott got the high of the night for singles, and I'm like going, "Who the fuck cares?" Right, dude. Honestly, I cannot tell you what poem I did, even though we got the scores written down, but I can tell you like about the team pieces because I was so like, anyway. So,
what? So, I mean, it begs the question, right? Because as a performer, right, you have to kind of be versatile. And Lee, you
yes,
and I, strived to be relatively versatile because we'd be like, well, we used
yes,
to be able to do poems anywhere. We'll go
yeah,
on the bus and we'll do poems and we'll do,
yes.
or like we were in
Guerrilla poetry. We did that at the Palo Alto. What's it called again? Farmers Market.
garage, we did it at the farmers market. We just walked around. And in Germany, it was really cool because to promote the German National Poetry Slam, we all went on their light rail and just did poems. And it
Oh wow. See,
was amazing. And then we like passed out flyers for
see,
was really like a great promotional thing. So we were all about like making it accessible and being able to be like, do your poem anywhere.
yeah,
Um,
dude. Remember we wanted to do flash mob poetry, but couldn't
we,
get enough people.
we had an idea.
Bitch
People
ass people.
weren't
Yeah.
cool enough to like be on board. I tried to do that too in Portland and nobody showed up. So
Dude.
not cool. Um, so, but I know like Lee, you and I were always like, whatever, with mics, without mics, like what, like
Yeah.
we'll do
Even when
whatever.
we showed up, we're like, they only have one mic. We're like, okay, whatever. Right, dude.
Like we would like we tried to be as flexible and versatile as we could be because we were like, well, we're going to make it work no matter what. And I know if there was one mic, you'd be like, Melissa, take the mic because you're soft spoken, and
Yeah.
then you would try to project,
Yes.
or we would sort of like go in a V shape and both utilize the mic.
Yes.
So I mean that's one way that you can do it, but I mean personally I think what makes a good performance space. um it's a good question. Like,
I think the being able to see the audience's faces always helps. And the acoustics, because sometimes,
oh yeah, acoustics are important. You need a lower ceiling.
yeah, because sometimes it's like, ooh, if because some bars, no matter what, they're made for music, but they're not made for stage
Oh,
performance.
yeah.
So it's like, yeah, like some people sometimes they can't hear you, and like, oh, we were going to talk about this. We're going back to the beginning, which is Maddie P, 2004, St. Louis, Missouri, um, there
Nationals
was a
around the world.
nationals. And first, it's funny too because I can tell you what the venue looked like during our first bout because they had semifinals there, which is weird. Um,
Did
remember that? And I don't even
upstairs. It was upstairs in a venue, and they were handing out American spirits. That's
I
what I.
remember like I don't remember anything except for Hawaii was there.
Hmm.
But the second bout, I remember the second bout, it was like, okay, um, Melissa couldn't go in because she was under 21. Um, and so you were kicking it outside with somebody from another team who was under 21.
I was gonna say all of us youngins were just sitting outside, like literally on the concrete behind the venue.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
dude.
We were like, "But my team," and they were like, "No." So we just were sitting there, not doing anything.
And that was the 3x5 time. So I remember doing the 3x5 time, I'd always try to go first. And I think I won't say the person's name. C3PO, I think went up second. I can't really remember. And Matty P was last. And we had practiced. We practiced in the water at Carmel. Like we're not facing the ocean, going, okay, if you mess up, you got to keep going. You sink into the water. It was good. So while Matty was doing his poem, they had an arrangement with the club. This slam is going to go on until this time. Well, the DJ started, it's getting hot in here. Take off all your clothes. I ain't getting too much. And he was in the middle of his poem. Now, this is our team. So he didn't stop. He kept going. It just happens. Let's go. However, the venue sucked, dude. It was just horrible. I can't even, I'm getting old. I can remember Maddie, but I can't remember anything else.
Yeah, I would know because I was
Yeah.
out kicking it on
Now I could remember what
by the
happened outside
dumpster,
because we recorded that shit, dude.
kicking it by the
You know,
dumpsters with the young kids.
yeah. Then all of a sudden outside, it was a riot. They freaked out. The other teams went ape shit. They started this, and that, blah, 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 da, 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 da. And honestly, what I'll point out is they got in Taylor Molly's face. They got into, I won't say his full name, SW's face. And like they were going to take, actually, Taylor Molly's lucky that SW was there because they were going to take him apart. And he was like, we're not going to get anybody's face right now. Like, and only one person, one guy, and I can remember his face. I do know his name, or I don't even know the teams they're going against. Oh, except for one was from Florida. He said, what about Maddie P's poem? It's the only person. Everybody else is just like trying to use the bout as an excuse to, either do it again and because they thought, some people thought it would end up differently. And what kind of bothered me was it's kind of like everybody made it seem it was because of this, but I'm like, but it didn't affect any of you because he was the last poet of the night, right? And if so we had a rebound and it was legendary. It was actually great. Um, at a different venue
In history and slam history.
during the day, and everybody was there because it wasn't a semis, it was the rebound, and like,
Coffee
and
shop somewhere far away.
yep, and we did all the same poems except for
One person.
one person. And he tried to beat my poem, but you will be that. Not no, no, no. Back in my rookie days when I was like, no, this is the only poem I got. So like we killed it and we got the exact same score and we won. And it was like, so I bring that up to bring up, it's weird because to us as the performers, sometimes it's really important to have a connection to the crowd and be able to see and the acoustics and everything like that. But in this particular situation, um, it was all about the words. You know what I mean? And like, and I could say maybe everybody was, I don't know, but it was in that situation, it didn't matter. But that was the only time because every other time, you could see a venue and know like, oh man, this is gonna suck, or oh, this is gonna be difficult. Like, and you're not supposed to, but it does affect you as a performer. I know it affects me when I look like, because I've been in the Bay for so long. If, well, same thing to you, if we know we're performing at Berkeley, it's we're comfortable and you kind of know, right? Um, and it's weird, like when you go to a, I don't know, when you don't have the same options that we have, and it's a new venue, and it's kind of like if you think of all the nationals you went to, the ones that had really good venues, the ones that had bad venues kind of stick out of my mind.
Mhm.
And some venues I will probably, I don't know, like for example, I like this particular venue. Actually, I like both of them. And I think you probably remember it too. Southwest Shootout 2006. Um,
And
we showed up late. We with no. Yeah, wait.
yeah, in
Chris
Flagstaff.
Parks, yeah. Yeah. And remember like the our first venue, it was the stage wasn't that high, but it was high enough. And the room was deep so you could see everybody.
Yeah.
And that was really nice. And
That's all a blur, Lee, because we showed up and
yes, that
driving
was
all
so
day
awesome.
and we just went
That
on
was
stage.
awesome. You know that was awesome.
That,
You know that was awesome.
that was a
Dude,
marathon. I was like, I don't know where I am. Let's do this.
dude, we were so late. Somebody did the draw for us. We pulled up, parked, walked, and like you guys are going up right now. I'm like, all right, let's go. Because we were practicing to the car all the
We
way
were like,
there. Dude, let's
okay.
go.
It's
And
like,
like,
do the A.
and
All right,
dude,
let's do it.
and we just ooh, you remember because like KJ, I won't say the full name, she got I think we got like 29, 5, 29, 7, 30. It was just nasty. It was just kind of like, and the person who was before us, it
I
was
mean,
also it was the audience because when we hit our lines, it was to other poets. So they were like, oh shit, like, dude.
that was a poet audience, and that
Yes.
can make a difference too. Because it's like, I mean, the audience. I mean, like, I am not a fan of bar venues. They like never really.
Yeah, you know,
Um,
drunk ass bastards.
well, it's like they're more like. I mean, if you're maybe it's because like the kind of style of poetry I do, but it's like if you're like a funny, bar venues are going to be really nice, right? Because they need
Sorry.
like nobody wants to like like when I'm doing poems about like my mom
Drinking. Yeah.
and you're in a bar, right? I mean, there's a part of me that's like, you need to
You
walk.
should hear this. Yeah.
There's a part of me that like does that, but like,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do, right?
I see somebody like in the background just kind of looking at the drink and like pouring it out.
Yeah. So not a fan of bar venues myself personally. I think black box venues are great.
Yes. Oh my
Like
God.
any
Yes.
venue where there's like a raised audience
Yes.
is great. Because then you're like, I don't even have to be on stage. The stage is me. It's around me.
Yeah,
Um,
like that place in it's not Stuttgart. You knew the one
Erlangen. Erlangen.
Erlangen. That it was like a like an old school doctor's college kind of thing, you know, because it went all the way around us. That was just dope. That was you're right, because then it's you also it feels yes, like you're the center. It almost feels kind of like Roman style, you know what I mean? Like anyway, it's just really neat. And you feel like you can connect. The only catch with that is sometimes somebody's back is to you.
Yeah, but not all black box theaters are like that. Like
Yeah, I know. Yeah, some were like the one we had in Oakland was
have
different.
like
Like,
three sides that have
yeah,
audience in it. Um, and I mean, and I think that works really well. I mean, like if I had a favorite style, that would probably be the one. Um, I mean, I agree with you though that overall, like I prefer a crowd that I can see. It's funny, like some people,
yeah,
I don't like small crowds because it's like too intimate and vulnerable. But like, I don't know if it's like the kind of poetry that we do that is just like vulnerable and
yeah,
conversational that feels better for me because I'm like I want to look in people's eyes and like see their reaction because
exactly.
it says a lot too. I can tell like when people are uncomfortable with that space, or like I say
Exactly what you're
a line
saying.
and I
Yeah,
see people respond to it. and some people are like, "Ee," some people are like, oh, so it's a very intimate kind of connection. And it's like, and when it's a bigger venue and there's like hundreds of people and there's lights, and we've done venues
Yeah.
in
Where
Germany.
it's like, yeah, like it's
That's
just
nice
you
because you
can't see.
you can disappear, right?
Yeah, exactly. Dude,
Like,
exactly. You totally disappear because the lights are so bright, they don't blind you, but you can't really see the faces. But
mhm,
you know they're there,
yeah.
right? So it's really like, yeah, you disappear. You kind of like you go astral and you're like, it's nice.
Well, because you were in individual finals, right? And that venue was really big because I remember me and Kevin
Yeah.
were all up on like the balcony
And
looking.
Jesse.
Oh yeah, she was there too. See, I
She's
forget.
in the video, but you know you guys are in the video. It's cool too because it's in the one about my daughter and you're keeping score and Jesse, you can tell like Jesse had to have asked you, did he make it? Because you're like, yeah, he's in. Right. Which is like cool because I didn't even fucking know. But you're right. It's like I didn't see anybody, but I did hear Go Flash Go and this will make me cry. And I had to say this person's name, they won't sue me, but when the beginning of the third poem, the mic wouldn't kept on moving, and I was trying to make it straight. And then I said Jesus, and then like Rachel McKibbins slammed her hands on the stage, right? And I started doing my poem. Because she's from the old school like we are. Like that's not her saying shut the fuck up. It's like go. Because they just started the clock, dipshit. And the good thing is, I wouldn't have seen her because of the lights, but she knew to make a noise.
Mhm.
And it's anyway, it's weird because I think because we did it so long, we knew how to adjust to the audience without like sacrificing our skills, except for I screwed up twice, but so why is he on his knees? Is he praying? Oh, he loves Jesus. That's a nice boy. Right. And I'm all going like, so
No,
no.
but they don't know,
I
right?
know, yeah, dude. It's like,
No, like
yeah,
when we would perform, right?
yeah.
If you mess up, they don't know that you messed up unless you say like, "Oh, whoops, sorry," or like, "Oh, that's wrong," or
Dude, that's
keep
dude.
keep
And you know, like
going, whatever. You
how
screwed something up. Like it doesn't matter. They're not even listening to that anymore. They don't even care.
exactly like when we did this, we coached this. We started doing this I think in '04, but the funnest time was '05 when we used to freestyle at the end of every practice.
Yeah.
And it was like, why? So you'll know what to say when you go blank or when you're on stage. Because you don't want like because motherfuckers, I'll be honest. I love my slam poetry brethren, but we're like vultures. As soon as there's a weakness, we'll find it, right? So when people start snapping, like, oh, you got it, that's supposed to build you up. No, it's letting the audience know that you forgot your fucking poem. Right, dude? Seriously.
Like
It's
I'm
not like
pausing for
you
dramatic
got it.
effect. They're like, "No,
Yeah,
you got it."
exactly, because the audience members they go, doesn't that mean clapping in their language? Right? You know what I mean? It's like, no, they're letting you know like you're fucked up. Or when people go, you got it, you got it. They didn't know I lost it before you said something. Like, dude, I could have been some cool dramatic pause, but no, like so
And
for
that's the cutthroat world of slam poetry, ladies and gentlemen.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
You
dude,
think they're supporting you, but they're not.
and I can't speak for all slams, but I can talk for where we're from. We're from the highly competitive BAY. And it's like, no, they'll as soon as you're blood in the water. And you know what? I'm kind of guilty of this. I have to apologize to an MP. She was on, I believe, Oakland's team in 2011. It was St. Paul, so that might have been 2010.
2010,
And
I was there.
we were at a bout against her team, and Oakland was strong that year. And the dude, and we were Chad Anderson was on the other team. It was fucked up out. It was really like, and um, this person messed up the poem, right? And said, I'm sorry. And then kept going. And I'll never forget me and my coach at the time. We nudged each other and we started looking at the score sheet because we knew, like, okay, A, you're about to go over time, and B, you're not going to score as high as you need to make it. And I felt bad, but at the same time, I was like, I was evil then because I said thank you.
You were like, thank you, God.
No, I said thank you to her,
Thank you for
dude.
screwing up so bad.
Yes, dude. Dude. I'm so
This is what slam does to people.
dude, I know. It's just like,
Makes them so
you know,
evil.
and I felt bad because this girl
Like,
was was tearing herself up after because she felt she lost it for the team. And I'm like, I didn't want to lie because you know you did, right, dude? So it's kind of like, but thank you because it helped us. And like, dude, we got us in the semis too. And like, I like this too. And I'll say the person's name only because it's not a negative and it's a nice person. And it was Chad Anderson, and he goes, now I can go back to liking you again.
oh,
And I was just like, man, I really fucking love you. And I feel guilty because a lot of times I was in a bout with them, I did not read their poetry. And then later, thanks to oh, it's gone now. What was it called again?
indeed.
Yes, because of any feed, man, I know all of his shit.
So we talked about how does the space impact how you perform. Oh, this was something else I was going to say.
Yes.
It's a bit.
Menu. Chef, you get it?
Yes. Um,
A great fucking movie.
so the other thing I was going to say was, you were talking about how we used to train
Oh, yes.
to be prepared for anything, right? And I think that like that was part of our just how we did things because we
Yeah.
be adaptable, so like we couldn't be like, oh, this poem only does well in like this kind of venue, because some performers were like that, where they were like, oh, this poem won't work here, this poem won't work here, yada yada. But also the other thing that I remember us doing when we were practicing, do you remember like we would perform and then we'd have people try to distract,
Yes.
we'd have to
Yes.
art and keep going, and that was like part
Yes.
two, where like here's how venues can um like influence you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Or get you
you hear
off.
a sound, a glass breaks, somebody's phone starts ringing. I
Exactly.
think a niece at one point the lights went out.
Yes.
Like things happen, you know and the idea is to not let that distract you, to not stop, right? Because they're still going to be timing you. you
Yeah,
know
because
it takes
yeah,
you
and
out of the experience.
exactly. And it's like, mm, you're already high strung out. Like, no, not strung out. That means something different now. You're already high stress. You're already kind of like, pins and needles because you're on stage, the microphone, there's a large group of people, you're kind of nervous. And the smallest thing can just, it's like Jenga, the smallest thing, you'll just crumble. You'll blank. You'll just, I can't remember anything. And you, and you know what it's like. We like poets can recognize when a poet is blanking because they look like a deer caught in headlights.
Like,
And because if you blank long enough, you're done. You just have to leave the stage, or
and when that happens, it's really sad.
yes. Oh my God. Unless I'll say one person got applause, even though we yell at him after the bout. But this was Sacramento Bob and MP but he did the cool thing. He took the poem out of his back pocket. And like that was the one thing, and he got applause because one of the things like you're way over time, but people are like, no, I'm not giving a fuck that. I got it right here, right? I've been practicing this shit. And it's like that, you know, honestly, that was my saving grace. I was just like, this can't happen again, right? But I'm like, that was, but it
that was
remember
bold.
that venue? Yeah, dude, that venue looked like it was like well, they used to have it looked like I had to say it's a Sacramento, it's a little ghetto, but it was like
Is it
when you
like,
have a sheep wedding and you have a gathering after.
uh-huh.
Like, yeah, and you rent the place, like
But that poem was such a labor of love, because there,
oh my God,
there were
yeah.
many times where there was blanking, and
Yeah, it was
tree down with
I that's why it's a good memory to me because I felt that there was a point where you guys had faith in me
Mhm.
and you heard what I was trying to do, and then it fucking worked. You know what I mean? Then you all like, oh, that was beautiful, right? And I'm like, you got it. It took all summer, and I'm like, as the coach, and I was in the team, I was thinking like they don't hear it, they don't hear it, and like if they don't hear it, it's not gonna work, it's not gonna work, and like oh they don't hear it, and then finally just like clicked, and it was just like oh that this is so and it was like my whole I won't go on and on, but my whole thing was the end had to sound like a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And in the last breath, you guys got it down so perfectly. A got the highest score of the night, but B and it won its round. But C, I'm like, they believed in me and it worked. Like it just really anyway.
Lee,
It's anyway, it was
what's your favorite venue ever of all the venues you performed at?
it's weird as fuck to say. Um it's a tie between okay, three places. Okay, three. Three. It's gotta be three. Um Erlangen Erlangen. Um, I was gonna say Substance. My only complaint with Substance is um it's long and sometimes it's hard to see the back,
Yeah.
but you're kind of high up. But
Mhm.
I I I felt that and it's a long way to answer a question, but I felt that Germany was like Hamburg to the Beatles. Do you know what I mean? Because we were there for so long that we did certain gigs and certain venues a couple times, and one time you got to go here and do 45 minutes. So it's kind of like, anyways, where I think it's where I sharpened my teeth. I think you sharpened your teeth too. But um, I really like the place that was in where I got this shirt. It's near the France border. Um,
Oh, GoTech.
Yes,
Car,
because I
car.
like the fact that there's fucking pinball machines in the background and shit, dude. And, like, I know it was a really small stage and there wasn't that many people there, but like,
It was a
I,
weird venue. And we slept on mattresses and like a
yeah, yeah, dude.
upstairs.
It was because we were in the middle of nowhere and like, okay, yours, but that and I'm sorry, last one is when we performed in Hawaii because their stage was high enough and it was almost like a model stage. You can kind of walk into the audience.
Yeah.
Like that was cool.
Yeah.
Okay, your turn.
Okay. I can't for the life of me remember where this was. But my favorite venue of all time, and I still tell people about this, was, and maybe you'll remember where it was in Germany where there was multi floors. Do you remember? There was a club on the bottom floor, there was a restaurant, there was the venue, there was the hostel, and then at the top there was a recording studio, and it was all in one building. Do you remember this place? And
Yes.
I stole a pillowcase from there. And remember, we went dancing at the club after the show.
Yes. But what that wasn't GoTech?
That wasn't GoTech. GoTech was a different place. It's the place with the pinball machine, and we drank absinthe, and there weren't a lot of people. It was really cold, and we slept on mattresses upstairs on the floor. This place, there were actual hostel beds.
Yeah, not the place where we found the swastika, right?
I don't think so.
Do you remember that place though, right? We
Yes.
went and there was bunk beds and there were and we and like
Maybe it was that place when we
yeah, I
found.
think it was. Yeah, like
So, except for the Nazi part, other than that, that was my favorite venue. But um there was something else, and I know who we were with. So it had to have been in like in the Bavaria kind of tour. I just don't remember what city it was. But that's my favorite venue of all
who were
time.
we with?
With the Bavaria people, like Cohen Ryan.
But the first time or the second time? Oh, remember the stage that and there wasn't again not that many people there, but I liked the stage. The place we were on Munich's radio
Yeah. I remember when we went to the radio station.
and like but there was that place that there's art there and like there's lights on the stage and
Oh,
you took a picture of me.
place. Poetry in motion.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
And it said Boise out in front. Um,
Yeah.
there's that place. And then I liked Hawaii, and I liked the Hawaii venue a lot. Oh, there's another place too that in Austria. That venue when we were drinking champagne was nice.
Yeah, that one. Oh yeah, that's what the yeah. Then Anka was at that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
That was the one.
that's
That's the one we sold out,
yeah,
which made me happy because I still have a picture of that sign. It's like sold out. It's like yeah, that's right.
yeah.
And like yeah, dude, that was the. It's I think for I guess we're making this podcast for information for newer poets who nowadays, sadly, we're supporters of Zoom poetry, but go to a stage. There's more magic there.
There's a lot to be gained from performing on stage. And, I think you can perform. We were just talking about this at our show. I think you can perform effectively on Zoom, right? A lot of people do, but there's something different, like when you're physically with people in the same room. There's an energetic
Yeah.
exchange that you kind of don't get. And it's I mean, it's the same as a therapist, right? Like I work with people via telehealth and I work with people in person. And yeah, we get the job done, right? But there's a different feeling to being in person. And some people are like, I only like in person. Some people prefer telehealth. And I think that it's important to try both. That's all. It's my analogy.
Oh, oh. Yes, but you can yes, get on stage, grab the microphone, be an MC because it's how you connect with people more and there's a magic there that you could only yeah, you need ooh, like real empathy is done in person.
Don't be afraid to be booed. It
Oh,
happens.
we went through that too. See, it's yeah, yeah. Regionals, Big Sur, Henry
Oh,
Miller Library. That was real. I mean, if you're performing during the day and it's good weather, that's like the best. Like
Big Sur was, yeah, definitely. That's my third one.
ah,
I'm gonna kick out the Austria one and put that
such
in place.
such great memories to tell. I'm not saying anything, but
That's
beautiful.
story for another day.
Yes. But we want to thank the audience for listening to us going on and on about the importance of it's weird because I'm thinking we're giving advice to people who are on stage because if you're on Zoom, you're always going to be in the same place. But no, I guess you could Zoom other places, but
Well, but also, like we were talking about before, maybe you perform via Zoom, right? But also go outside, perform in parks, perform,
yes,
in front of libraries or downtown
yes,
or on
in
the
front
bus
of
or
trees
whatever, in front of
to
trees.
the ocean.
Yeah, I was gonna say walk to the beach, perform in front of the ocean. There's lots of places where you can perform, and then basically just notice how your performance changes. Maybe you have to be louder because the ocean is louder, right? Um, Maybe you're connecting with people who are walking by if you're performing on a street corner, right? So just pay attention to how a space influences you as a performer.
Exactly, and like, yeah, what she said. That's actually yes. And on that, we should close this slam for the evening.
We'll close it down and we'll
What's
see.
our goodbye? There's got to be a neat goodbye. Um,
Right on. That's what you were saying before.
yes, right on, motherfuckers.
All right.
You just nodded your head. Okay,
What he
goodbye.
said. What he said.